Good rising, brethren. This is Big Judah coming to you guys to California. Before I begin, I'm going to give all praise as Most High Yahweh. Acknowledgement of Earthly Mother. Who is wisdom? Who is the Holy Spirit? Acknowledge Yahweh Shai. I pray the Most High bless this lesson this evening. Gives more knowledge and understanding of the events of the past and order understand events that are currently happening on the earth. So we have a much better understanding of the things that are soon to come on the earth. It all goes back to our lands over here. All of these groups that have taken the bag and decided to be 501c3s and everything else, they're all confederate with hiding the lands and hiding where everything has originated from. See, they'll let you know that, it gets to a certain point towards the end that you're the Most High's chosen people. But they don't want you to connect back to your lands, because your lands is where the promises were. It's where, your blessings all revolve around. And that's why even to today, they're still trying to push the whole Africa nonsense. As if somehow Africa was a place when after the flood and after Noah was setting up lands. See, all these names of all these different places are all relatively new, set up by European colonizers, again to hide the blessing of the Israelites, to hide the fact that they have hidden our blessings from us. And now even they're trying to make it seem as if all of these biblical events were all supposed to happen over there in the Mediterranean area, the Eastern Mediterranean area, and the so-called Middle East and all this other stuff. And see, the thing is that you're going to realize that you're going to see some proof today. Over here in the Americas is where pretty much everything began. We were the superpower, and we would send out our emissaries worldwide. Because remember I showed you guys in the other book about the remains of Japhet, how after the flood, you got the three sons, and you got Noah set up his government because he was around for another 350 years. So that would be like the hub of where all of the knowledge and understanding would be where, the ark rested, and where the sons were and where Noah was. That would be the hub. And then everyone would be moving further and further away from the hub of information, from the hub of knowledge and understanding. And they would get less and less knowledge and less understanding. And they would fall deeper into depravity. And that's exactly what it seems as it has happened. So then you got all these people that are way away from the source, thinking that they're on top, teaching others that they're on top, and that there's no one more knowledgeable than them. But then our emissaries, the Mayak, the Mayans, our people, would go out and they would bring knowledge and understanding that would far surpass all these other people. And they would kill our people. That's why these Roman churches, Catholic churches, had the Inquisition to kill our people who were going around sharing knowledge, pretty much exposing these churches, because these churches have wanted to be us so bad. Just like I brought up in the Nag Hammadi, I'm going to say Apocalypse of Peter, how these other nations have forgotten where they came from, and they've always wanted to be us. That's happened in the spiritual world, and it's also happened here in the physical realm. So now that we're coming to the end of their reign, they're still trying to get you to look over there as if everything started over there. I'm going to give you some proof again. Like I said, the Hindustan was being used not that long ago. See, they switched that land to India, where they said 1949. So when you get older books from the 1800s, early 1900s, they're still referring to East India as Hindustan. But they're also referring to another land as India. So it can't be the same place. So we'll show you that again. And we're going to talk about Thoth as well. Because as much as they wanted to show you that Thoth originated in Egypt, that is not the case. And it would make sense, right? Because if Thoth is Enoch, then, and then those records were passed down to his posterity, and you're assuming that Noah had access to this information. That's why he set up his government, and he was around 350 years after the flood, that he would have knowledge, understanding of Thoth. And if they were going to, portray him in a certain way, they're going to portray him with certain animals, they will portray him with animals that were in that particular area, right? So those are some of the things we're going to be touching on. But just understand that it all goes back to everybody wanting to be us. Everyone wanting our blessing. And you got to learn how to start looking deeper in to pictures and into writings and things like that, and not just look at them so superficially. I brought this out years ago, this picture right here. And as you can see on the right-hand side, that would be Teotihuacan, is what they call so-called Mexico City now. Close to Tenochtitlan, where the Spaniards took down our people. And then you got St. Peter's on the left side, set up pretty much just like Teotihuacan. Why is this? There's so many things to unpack and just in these pictures alone. They want to be us. And see, these people were well aware of our lands. The whole mess about Columbus not knowing where he was going and everything else, these people knew about this far off distant land where all these people that were coming and sharing knowledge, where they came from. See, if we're going around sharing knowledge in the three parts and worldwide and setting up, our civilization, and we're setting up our little colonies everywhere, they want to get to the source. They want to see the source for themselves. Would you not want to? If you've heard all of these awesome stories, if you've seen all this great information and great understanding, if you know that the lands, these great lands were given to a certain chosen people and that the other nations were never allowed to go and see it, wouldn't you want to visit these places? And if you know the scriptures, you knew that eventually you're going to get your opportunity to go and control these lands. They knew that we were going to lose our inheritance and they were going to get their opportunity to control them. And that's what this has all been about. It's all been about trying to hide the fact that we are the source. Our lands over here was the source of everything. And that all they did was, when they got these little colonies over there in their areas, they cut the people off from the source, and then they took control of these different colonies of Egypt, right? They took out these different colonies, the Chaldees, and then they converted those as being the hubs of knowledge, the hubs of understanding, so that then they could play our part. But you're going to find out that the Chaldees, Egypt, and just about every other, China, Japan, all these different areas that they try to act as if these places were the hubs of knowledge and understanding, that this is where everything started from. It's a lie. That they got this information from the Mayans, from Central America, from the Israelites. Now, I'm only going to bring out some information, but I got so much more. I don't want this video to be too long, but be on the lookout for way more information. And be on the lookout for a live early tomorrow morning around 8 o'clock. I'm going to jump into Queen Mu. So up here at the top. Let's see. Others among them, having a devout turn of mind, were hermits doing penance, immersed in contemplation. At the time of Alexander's conquest of northern India, many lived in convents practicing occultism. They were called gymnosophists by the Greeks and were regarded as very wise men. But it must be remembered that the period between the establishment of the Vedic settlements on the Saraswati and the conquest of Hindustan by the Aryans. See, they're using Hindustan still over here. Okay, by the Aryans, when they had become the leading power, probably covers an interval of thousands of years. Now check this out, talking about you Greeks, okay? You guys always love to make it sound like everything started with you, but in these books they admit that is not the case. The Aryans appear to have no definite idea of a universe, of being, or of the creation of a universe. So they have no idea about the universe, how it was made, none of that stuff. Okay? From them, therefore, the Brahmins could not have borrowed their account of the creation. See, yeah, and that's what they want. That's why they got to get rid of the Brahmins. They got to get rid of, the Mayans. They got to get rid of all this because they want to make the world, make it seem as if they were the ones that came up with this stuff when it wasn't true. So again, the Brahmins could not have borrowed their account of the creation, okay, which differs from that we might infer from the Vedic hymns. Still, Manu borrowed some of the ideas conveyed in his account of the creation of the universe by Brahma. Okay, from whom did he borrow them? The Brahmins rarely attempted to ignore or denounce. Hold on fast. Okay. Ignore or denounce the traditions of any new people, okay, with whom they came in contact, but rather they converted such materials into vehicles for the promulgation of their peculiar tenets. Now, this is important right here. The Nagas, okay, we have seen were a highly civilized people whose rulers held sway over the whole of Hindustan. When the Aryans established their first colonies on the banks of the Saraswati, later on we shall see that these Nagas were originally Maya adepts who in remote ages migrated from Mayak to Burma. Okay? When they say Mayak, they're talking about the Mayans. Okay? That's more like the original name of them. Okay? Hold on fast, family. I'm getting some. So again, the Nagas right here, who held sway over the whole of Hindustan, when the Aryans established their first colonies on the banks of the Saraswati. Later on, we shall see these Nagas were originally Maya adepts, who in remote ages migrated from Mayak to Burma, whence they spread their doctrines among the civilized nations of Asia and Africa. How else explain the use of American Maya language by the Hindus, calling Maya the material world, Ma, country, Yak, the veritrum of the ancestors, through which all living earthly things were produced. Again, the source. The Mayak, the Mayans, those were the source. Still are the source. That's why at this point, these 99% of these Psalms 83 have no knowledge, no understanding. And as you can tell, every day, how many other videos you guys are going to see about how this war is about to start? Israel's about to get it in. Iran's about to get it in. Russia's going to get it in, right? All these, Ukraine's going to get it in. The BRICS are going to get it in. See, that's all that they got. Trump's going to get it in. Kamala, she's black. She's going to get it in. Because they have nothing. They are not from the source. Now you start to understand why, 2nd Ezra 6 and 56, and the Most High refers to the vast majority of the world as spittle. Because they're not from the source. So again, how else explain the use of American Maya language by the Hindus, calling Maya the material world, Ma, country, Yak, the veritrum of the ancestors, okay, through which all living earthly things were produced. That's us. And we talked about this before on the other video. This query may be answered by another. Why do we find English customs, English traditions, English language in America, India, Australia, Africa, and 1,001 other places, very distant from one another, or from each other, among peoples that do not even know of each other's existence? Why, anyone will say because colonists from England have settled in those countries. and naturally carried there the customs, traditions, language, religion, sciences, and civilization of the mother country. Why then not admit that that which occurs in our day has taken place in the past ages? And that's exactly it. And they don't want you to see, and I'm going to show you pictures later on about how the original Mayans were brothers who had big old beards and big old afros. And they were talking about the Mayan priests, how they did not cut, they had big beards. They wore black robes and big old beards, which, the natives now, the so-called aboriginals of Mayan, they're Aztecs, they don't have beards. But the original ones did. And we know who are the ones that were rocking beards, and especially the priests and everything else, who aren't smooth, booty face people. We know that was the Israelites who were actually carrying themselves like that. So let's continue. Now we're going to get into this. I was talking to my brother, the 12, and I was asking about this whole thing about Thoth being portrayed as a baboon, an ape also. And my brother 12 wasn't really familiar with that, and neither was I, until you start getting into these other books. Hence why they don't want you reading these other books. Because, see, on the left-hand side, there's your Egyptian depiction of Thoth. But all over the world, they also have a depiction of him being represented by an ape. But that's not really shown that much. That's not shared very much. Why is that? Because that ape that they use, I think Cynocephalus, I'm going to read it for a minute, is actually indigenous to Central America. So what we got to do is, we can't be showing them these apes and then talking about Thoth and this ape. We can't be doing that, because then people are going to be like, hey, let's put 2 and 2 together. Hold on. Where are these apes in Egypt? Oh, they're not there. Oh, why would we be doing that? You know what I'm saying? Or in the Chaldees. Where are these apes in the Chaldees? Oh, well, sorry, man, they're not there either. But then how do we associate Thoth with an ape that's not in these areas? Oh, because they didn't come from those areas. Oh, yeah, well, let's not tell the people that. Let's make people think that all this stuff started in Egypt over there, so they won't look over here. See, prophecy is being fulfilled right here in front of your face. See, prophecy is being fulfilled spiritually. Did they not talk about how our weapons are not carnal, but spirit? So is the fulfillment of these scriptures. These scriptures are spirit, and they are being fulfilled as well. But this is why you got all these camps and all these groups still talking about Africa, but ignoring and laughing when you talk about America. You're laughing because you're paid to not talk about America. You are not allowed to talk about this kind of information. You're only allowed to keep pushing us to look at Africa. Hey man, we had different spots all over the place. We had colonies all over the place. That didn't mean that was the source. That doesn't mean that that's the source just because we had colonies over there. Just because you find our knowledge over there. Yeah, because we took our knowledge everywhere. We were told to take our knowledge everywhere. Bring light to a dark world. That's what we do. That's what we're still doing right now. So let's get into this some more. So guys, I want you to just ingrain this in your minds. Because on the right hand side, that was what it was originally. That's where it was originally. Over here. All that beauty. All that knowledge. And then they just transpose it over there and act like that's where it started. So let's continue now with Queen Mu. Let's see here. The potagas in which he worshipped are adorned with the utmost magnificence. Spain, main part right here. When in 1554, the Portuguese made a descent upon that island, they plundered the temple of the ape god, Thoth, and made themselves masters of immense riches. You ever heard of a ape god named Thoth before? Nah, you haven't heard that one, but they show you the same picture over and over again. But in 1554, they took down a temple with the ape god Thoth. It says, I beg to call the attention of the reader to the name of this ape god, For those ransom an Indian. Prince offered the viceroy of Goa 700,000 ducats. It was likewise that of the god of letters and wisdom, and that would be Thoth, the god of letters and wisdom, right? Represented as a cynocephalus monkey, okay, among the Egyptians. So again, that's what you saw right there. But very few people have seen a picture like this. I found this one on Pinterest, but there are not very many pictures of Thoth and this ape right next to it. But that's what's going on right here. Okay. So again, god of letters and wisdom, represented as a cynocephalus monkey among the Egyptians. Is this also a coincidence? The Maya word Thoth means to scatter, flowers, or grain. Might it not mean metaphorically to scatter letters or knowledge? Okay? As symbol of the god of letters, the cynocephalus ape was treated with great respect in many cities of Egypt. But at Hermopolis, it was particularly worshipped, whilst in the necropolis of Thebes, a spot was reserved as cemetery for the sacred monkeys, whose mummies were always placed in a sitting posture, as the bodies of deceased persons in Mayak, Peru, and many other countries in the Western continent. So again, these people are just copying someone else's traditions. They didn't come up with this stuff, but they don't want you to know that. They want you to believe that Ham came up with all this stuff. And we already know that, in the Josephus, they talk about how Abraham taught the Hamites. But what was he teaching them? Was it all many of these different things? We don't know, because I hide all this information. So in the city of Copan in Guatemala, the cynocephalus was frequently represented in the sculptures, of the temples in an attitude of prayer. There, as at Thebes, those monkeys were buried in stone tombs in which their skeletons have been found in perfect preservation. Fray Geronimo Roman, a writer in the 16th century, and other chroniclers inform us that monkeys received divine worship in Yucatan under the names of Baak and Chien, something like that. Okay? Whose images are often found in the temples of the Mayas in a kneeling posture. Okay? The ape was also held sacred in Babylonia. In Japan, there is a sumptuous temple dedicated to monkey worship. It is said that the Japanese believe that the bodies of apes are inhabited by the souls of deceased grandees and princes of the empire. Is not the great veneration of monkeys a form of ancestor worship? Okay? The Darwin theory of evolution does not seem to be very modern after all. The study of the first chapters of the Popol Vuh will convince anyone that some of the ancient Maya scientists had reached the same conclusions as some of the learned philosophers of our day regarding the unfolding of animated beings, of man, consequently. Okay, it would seem that Solomon had some reason in saying that we may repeat after him, there is nothing new under the sun. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue. Again, this is very important. We have seen that in Mayak, as in India, Chaldea, Egypt, and many other countries, a certain kind of ape was held sacred, its worship being no doubt closely related to that of ancestors. But how came the cynocephalus, to be connected in Egypt with the rites of the dead? This species of monkey is not native of Egypt, but is of Central America, where it is very abundant. Thoth, the god of wisdom and letters, was a reputed preceptor of Isis and Osiris. He was supposed to hold the office of scribe in Amenti, where his business was to note down the actions of the dead and present or read the record of them to Osiris, while sitting as judge of the lower regions. Thoth, in that capacity, is represented as a cynocephalus monkey in a sitting posture. He is thus frequently portrayed seated on the top of the balance in the judgment scenes. So this is just to show you that this information this knowledge and understanding did not begin with the Hamites, did not begin with the so-called Arabs. It began over here on Turtle Island with our people. So when you get all these people, I mean, I saw another video that just popped up yesterday about Dalton talking about what is it? Israel being in Africa, a certain particular place, and then Sakari was going in on that. It's popped up on my feed. I didn't watch the video. I'm like, but it's like no one wants to talk about the proof of everything originating over here, and that prophecy is originating over here. The dove was prophesied to come over North America again, to bring knowledge and understanding back over here. But it's not just the Bible. It's not just, the 66 or 80 books that these people have told you. Way more books. These people have never been in a position to tell you what you can and cannot read. Many people here have given them that power. But that was never anything that was given to Gentiles. They were never given that power. They did it in order to cut you off from being a people. They did it in order to keep us from being a nation. They did that to keep us from realizing that these lands are ours and that this land is going to work for us once again. The Most High is going to return these lands back to us once again. And that these other nations are the ones that are being left behind. See, the whole left behind concept to them is always something physical. But it's a spiritual. It's spiritual as well. Look, people, you Gentiles that are here listening, you were left behind in 2020. When you made the decision to follow man, and you all know what you did when you followed man. When you decided that you were going to follow man and not the Most High, you decided to participate in an event that left you behind spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. You cannot ascend because you made a choice to be complicit with man. You wanted to join hand in hand with man. You wanted so bad to go back to life as you knew it, that you were willing to do anything to get back to that life, to get us back at the bottom and to get you back on top. So in 2020, you were left behind. That is why we are ascending spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. You cannot go. You cannot come where we are going. You are stuck where you are at. Now, if you repent, that's between you and the Most High. The Most High has mercy on you. Again, that's between you and the Most High. But that event was enormous. People always say they love God, they love Jesus, they love it. But as soon as you had to make a stand against man, you couldn't do it. You had plenty of people telling you to think for yourself, study. You had time to read, to study, to get things correct, to study about who are the real people of the Most High. You weren't having to go to work all the time. You were able to spend time with your families, to figure out what was important. And you chose otherwise. So you have been left behind. You cannot ascend. This message is not for everyone. It is for the select few that the Most High is calling, Israelites and Gentiles alike. There are many Gentiles that didn't take it either, that did not take the the man's, attempt to go back into his blessing. They didn't choose to follow that path. They didn't choose to follow man. They chose to, stand up on their own 2 feet, but now they maybe get an opportunity to hear this truth in order to realize why they made those decisions. And as you can see, why they got rid of this ape right here Why they don't show you that, right? Because you might eventually realize that this ape here was not indigenous to Egypt, and you might start questioning things, right? If you are able to actually question things and think for yourself. Dictionary of Deities and Demons in the Bible. Again, this book is like, I've seen it anywhere from $1,200 to $2,300. So I wanted to look up Thoth and see if there's any, if they make any, if they allude to anything about any apes, because that's not something that most people realize, have not made that discussion, have not made that connection, right? So let's see. Thoth. Thoth's cult seems to have had its origins in the Delta, but already at an early date, Hermopolis, and we talked about that in the other book, in Middle Egypt, was his chief cult center. Thoth is a lunar deity who manifests himself as an ibis, or, since the Middle Kingdom, a baboon. A baboon? Huh. Are there baboons in Egypt? They'll say, oh, they brought them from here. Well, we already know it's a specific type of monkey that's actually not indigenous to those certain areas, and it's indigenous to Central America. So again, this book here is making you draw on some questions here. Making you now try to question some things. Thoth is a lunar deity who manifests himself as an ibis, or, since the Middle Kingdom, a baboon. The Egyptians associated the waning and reappearance of the moon with the eye of Horus, which had been robbed or damaged by the wicked god Seth. On the day of the full moon, Thoth retrieved or healed the eye. Okay? So Thoth then meditates in the restoring the harmony. Okay? So, but the whole point is, again, another monkey, Thoth. So, as you can see, these people came over here, stripped our lands of its wealth, cut us off from our knowledge so that they could play us. That's why their priests run around here with these black robes, smooth booty face, all shaved off and everything else. But the true Israelites wore those same robes with beards, froze, with knowledge. Our afros just like the sun. Getting our knowledge and understanding from the source, from the Most High. Sending out our emissaries worldwide to try to bring light to a dark world. And that's what you're seeing once again. All praise is Most High Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother. Who is wisdom? Who is Holy Spirit? Acknowledge Yahweh Shai. Shalom.